following program is produced by the AM First Radio Network and distributed by Global American Broadcasting, the GAB Radio Network.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali. I am Attorney Zulu Ali with the Justice Watch crew, Rosa Nunez, Michael Bilal Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, Andrew Rodeman. This week, like every week, we'll be discussing critical legal and social justice issues that are impacting our communities. Our topic today is police brutality, and we wanted to also address the issue of how that actually begins in the courtroom and in the prosecutor's office. Well, one of the things I wanted to start out with on this topic is about the issue of let's talk about police officers and what police officers actually do. I mean, basically, being a police officer is actually a privilege. I mean, there's a benefit, there's a lot of power that comes along with being a police officer, but also what goes along with that, it should be a significant amount of responsibility. What we've been seeing over the past, what we've been seeing from the very beginning is that oftentimes officers are given a pass because of their position. So in other words, where, for example, in the Dante Wright situation, where we have this Officer Potter who made what some people are claiming was a mistake. The problem is that the prisons are full of people who make mistakes. I mean, that's the whole idea. The majority of the individuals who find themselves in the criminal justice system find themselves in the criminal justice system because they made a mistake. However, when they make mistakes, then there tends to be this attitude that people should pay for the mistakes that they make. However, when we begin to start talking about police officers, then there tends to be some sort of discussion or some sort of belief that maybe, we should treat them with kid gloves or give them the benefit of the doubt because it's a hard job or difficult job, but there's something that they signed up for. I mean, that's part of what goes along with being a police officer. But one of the things that I do want to talk about, I guess to begin, I was trying to figure out the best way to frame the discussion, but I believe the best way to frame it is to begin with understanding how my premise of it begins in the courtroom and the prosecutor's office. I think sometimes the prosecutors forget that they are there to serve the public, and the public doesn't just include certain individuals, in our communities. It means everyone. They have an obligation to the public in general. And when we're living in a state where police are actually killing people of color, for no good reason or for reasons that are not justifiable, then that becomes problematic, and a lot of it does begin in the courtroom, and this is what I'm talking about. In the city that I have my office in, or in the county that I have my office in, there is a policy, and this policy is that if a person is charged with resisting arrest or any type of assault-related incident or assault-related charge, then that person, there's a policy that they do not accept any pleas. They have to plead to the sheet, meaning they have to plead to those particular charges. They may negotiate on the actual sentence that you're going to get, but that means that this is a policy. If it involves assault involving a police officer, there is no negotiation, just simply because they are police officers. That's the prosecutor's policy. However, whenever there's a civilian that may be subjected to some sort of assault, then there typically is sometimes there's offers or some sort of resolution that may allow them for a lesser sentence or specifically a lesser charge. The significance of that is that basically, though that type of policy and other policies like it basically uh, empower police officers and police departments to do what they do on the street. There is no, um, you know, there is no separation, or at least any significant separation between the prosecutor's office, oftentimes the court, and the police. And the reason that that becomes problematic is because when you have police officers who actually do whatever they do on the street, and oftentimes the prosecutor's office and the police actually work collectively in certain type of law enforcement functions. So, when I was a police officer, we had the drug task force that came out of the prosecutor's office, and they worked hand in hand with law enforcement. The reason why that becomes problematic is because whenever a police officer writes a report, this is the way it's supposed to work. A police officer engages in some sort of investigation or responds to some sort of alleged criminal act. And then when that happens, they do their investigation, they write their reports, and they provide it to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office is supposed to do an independent evaluation of the allegations or the investigations that were made by the police. Then, based upon that, uh, then it's actually complaint or charges are filed against the individual based upon how the prosecutor's office see the facts alleged by the police officers and witnesses and evidence that had been gathered initially. And then, then you go through the process. However, when you have a situation where law enforcement, where the prosecutor's office does not really independently look at what's going on with police on the street, and they just basically just um, co-sign anything that the police do, then it's easy. That's the reason why officers feel empowered, or it empowers officers to be able to do the things that they actually do on the street, just simply because there is no checks and balances. And then when you go into the issue of going into the court system, and police officers who are given a lot of leeway when it comes to preliminary hearings, which are hearings that are held in order to make a determination as to whether somebody is going to proceed with a particular case, or when you're talking about indictments in grand juries. When you have that type of relationship between law enforcement and um, and the prosecutor's office and the courts, who do not question law enforcement at all about anything, that becomes extremely problematic. That's why they have all this power. You just have to understand how that relationship works. How all that basically, when you have a prosecutor's office, and in many cases a courtroom that basically gives police officers carte blanche and to do whatever they do and never question them. The relationship, these people are very close. The relationship between police officers, prosecutors, and individuals in the courtroom is a very close knit relationship. They see each other as if they're working on each other's side. So there is no questioning. That's the reason why police officers, when they do things on their street, they write these reports and go into court and say whatever they want to. And basically, there is no question as to whether the officer is telling the truth or not. They do not scrutinize the actions of the officers, or their reports or their investigations. These things are not scrutinized in the courtrooms. They're basically unquestioned. So when you know that whatever you're doing on the street is not going to be questioned during a prosecution of the case, then you're going to be able to feel like you can get away with whatever you're doing, right? There is no question. They think that if a police officer writes a report, or gets up on the stand and says something happened, that basically you're not supposed to give a person any more type of credibility just because they're wearing a uniform. They even ask jurors that during jury selection, will you treat every witness the same? So, but that's not the way it works. They're given the benefit of the doubt. In fact, you don't even have to hear from the witnesses. You can just, in order to in order to be held to answer for a charge, all they have to do is basically just hear from the officers. And if the officers, and we're talking about hearsay, we're not talking about firsthand account of what happened. Officers can get up and in many jurisdictions and just testify as to what witnesses told them. And then based upon that, charges can be, the prosecution can go further. When you don't have that type of checks and balances within the system, that's extremely problematic, and that's generally why individuals feel like they can get away with the things that they get away with. It's very, very problematic. I mean, we've got a serious, serious problem with our system, and until we at least address that issue of our prosecutors and our courts allowing carte blanche to these officers doing the way in which they deal with their cases and the way in which they deal with their prosecutions, we're not going to see any change. There has to be some sort of, they have to be held to answer. But we're going to continue with this. We're going to get really deep into it so we can kind of eventually find some sort of solution to these problems. But at any rate, do not touch that dial. We'll be back on the other side for Justice Watch.
Idea for a radio show but have no idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest, from technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and the Federalist, send an email right now to sales@gabradionetwork.com. That's sales@gabradionetwork.com.
Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands. Serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew, where we're continuing with our discussion on the issue of the the police brutality issue. Well, also, one of the things that I wanted to read is, and something that I often talk about is that, using the word um, racism, right? We use that word loosely, and we use words like racism. We use words like white privilege. We use those words, and I think that the reason why I try to refrain from using that word is because I don't think it really adequately addresses, um, you know, the issue of it. And I was reading an article inside. They're sick. This is a psychosis, right?
Yep.
This is basically this is psychotic. You shouldn't say racism. You should say they're sick. These people are basically sick in the head, and that's the reason why we're talking to individuals that aren't. We're talking about very diabolical. What do you do when you're dealing with people who have diabolical minds? And I was reading an article in Psychology Today, and I'm going to read. It says, "Understanding the Racist Brain." And basically it says, but what do we mean exactly when we say someone is racist? He says, an even better question, what are the neural and psychological characteristics of a racist mind? By analyzing the pathways in the brain that underlie racist thought and behavior, we can better understand how this nasty bias is created, potentially how to mitigate it. It says 75 in this study that was done. It says 75% of whites have an implicit racial bias, which affects how they process information and perceive the social world around them. It says this bias is subconscious and implicit. Whether or not it leads to overtly racist attitudes and behavior depends on an interplay between different brain areas, specifically those that create feelings of fear and promote tribalism, and those that help us regulate and suppress those bad instincts. He says brain imaging studies have shown that people who display an implicit bias have a stronger electrical response to black or other race faces in an area of the brain, a structure responsible for processing emotional stimuli and eliciting a fearful or anxious mental state. An exaggerated response is part of what creates the sudden visceral or gut feeling of being scared. He says, and that feeling of fear has additional psychological effects that promote prejudice. It is well established that when one feels their welfare is being threatened, they tend to become more tribal in their behavior and additionally bolster their cultural and national worldviews. It says, since it is those worldviews that make them feel safe, in essence, nationalism and prejudice are knee-jerk responses to anxiety. It says the problem is not everyone has a healthy functioning prefrontal cortex. And these people are the ones whose biases control them. They cannot reason those fearful surges away because they lack the cognitive mechanisms that normally allow people to do so. Interestingly, brain imaging studies have found links between impaired prefrontal lobe function and religious fundamentalism. It says cognitive exercises and medication can train the prefrontal cortex to control these bad instincts. But that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about psychotic people. Much of what, I'm going to go back to Malcolm on him when he started talking about people talking about people, and you're talking about that diabolical mindset. The diabolical mindset that goes along with what we're seeing is is based upon the fact that this is where this comes from. This does not come from a place of superiority. This comes from a place of inferiority. That's what we're dealing with. These are the kind of people that you're trying to figure out what's going on. Why are these officers doing the things that they're doing? Why can we as a society continue to sit around and wait and watch these individuals do what we continuously see them do to human beings? Why is it that we are tolerant of it? Why isn't there a country that is outraged? Why is it that a country is more upset with Michael Vick doing dog fighting than they are about African Americans and other people of color that are being killed by police officers? Why is it that we live in such a society where these people, do not have any humanity to them, right? I'm beyond trying to convince someone about the humanity of other people. You can't convince these people about humanity. The same thing with Officer Potter and the fact that what she did. The fact that someone would sit around and try to justify it and say, look, she thought her gun was a taser. And then saying that she made a mistake. So now she's being charged with second-degree manslaughter, right? You're a law enforcement officer. Nobody made you put on that uniform. I'm sorry. You chose to put on that uniform. With that power comes a significant degree of responsibility. And you are and then you're charged with second-degree manslaughter. That makes absolutely no sense. That is extremely reckless. And when you kill someone in the line of duty and you do so unjustifiably, you should be charged with murder. Why would you be charged with second-degree manslaughter? That was completely. I can't even explain or articulate the problem with charging someone with such a. She's looking at 5 to 10 years for that, right? Let me give you an example. There's individual. If someone was reached for a gun that they thought was a toy gun, and they shot their child with that gun, and he said it was a mistake. I thought it was a toy gun, but I reached for a real gun. Do you think that they would charge him with manslaughter? Huh? They would not charge him with. He's going to be charged. They're going to be charged with murder, and that is the problem. The problem is our public officials are held to a lower standard than the public in general. Specifically, the public of when we're talking about people of color, right? And so until that's probably. And so when we look at that, it's not about how do you change that. It's when do we accept the fact that we have people in our country that are diabolical and incapable of it. Why are we keep saying they're incapable of it? Why don't we tell the truth? Why do we keep preaching to these people that, we need to change the system? Look, wake up. If they wanted to change, if they really thought that was an issue, they would do something about it immediately. They would not delay it. They would not say we need to talk. Look at Joe Biden. All you folks went to the polls to vote for Joe Biden and vote for the vice president. Right? Now he's coming out saying he's talking about immigration. Right? Why are you talking about immigration when you got people in your country that are being killed? Right? Where are you? What's up with that? You got all these black folks to go out there and go to the polls to help you get elected, and you're still silent. You were golfing yesterday. Right. Why are you golfing when you see people that are black and brown people are being killed by police officers? Why are you doing that? And why are we giving him a pass? Right? So we need to check ourselves, and we need to start beginning to understand that something's wrong with these people. But at any rate, please do not touch that dial. We'll continue with Justice Watch on the other side of the break.
Nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a Black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host Attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep Your Hand on the Plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands, serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Y'all talk to me.
Well, you know, Brother Ali, you said a whole lot of things that are, on point. But I want us to look at the bigger scope, because who controls police? City councils. Who controls city councils? Mayor. So you're talking about significant change in the way police operate. You've got to look all the way up that system and make sure that all are involved. And when we look at it, I think all of us realize there's some type of public safety system that we need in place. We're not anti-police, we're anti-police corruption. And the whole system of police engagement seems to be corrupted in what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the lack of consequence, which you alluded to. When you feel you have no consequence, there's nothing for you to feel you need to change your actions. And then the nature of the fact that taking a life ain't easy, whether it's a police officer or anybody else. I've been in that situation. And let me tell you, it takes a certain mindset to terminate a life and then be able to live with that. So it is some type of psychosis if you can think you can adopt and accept the termination of a life, and you're going to be all right in the process, and there's not going to be continual assessment after the fact. And lastly on that, I want to say something. If you look at the degree of termination and how quick they collide. One of the first things a police officer is taught is to assess a situation, and then you build your protocol of what you're going to do, your action plan based on the decision of what that assessment gives you. So they're going in, taking the life of individuals in a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That tells me, that should tell all of us, there's a preconceived acceptability of the removal and taking of that life.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, that's, again, going back to the psychosis. I mean, we're trying to figure out ways to fix problems because we're giving human beings the benefit of the doubt. But the problem, of course, is that these individuals are not, in my opinion, I hate to, I'm going to say it on the show. I mean, you think about me whatever you want to. There are certain segments within that within that part of our society that are incapable of understanding that. They just don't. There's no way that's who they are. And I think that many of those individuals are within our justice system has always been the catalyst to carry out that diabolical mindset. That is basically the military arm of the racist establishment. And when I say racist establishment, I'm talking about individuals who are mentally, are suffering from this sickness. These are mentally sick human beings. You can't tell me for 1 second this is how sick we are as even, I'm not, I mean, it even, I think it filters over even to non-white people that we've convinced we're still trying to figure out some educated way or some way of building some sort of organizational structure or using some sort of system to make diabolical people do righteous things.
It's against their nature.
Diabolical people aren't going to do righteous things. It's like someone saying Chauvin. There's no policy or procedure that you need to follow to stop someone like Chauvin doing what he did. That is not about police policy and police procedure. That's something wrong with human beings in our society. That's evilness. And the fact that we have people who tolerate that evilness, the fact that we actually go out and we elect, listen, Joe, listen, that what we're dealing with could be dealt with overnight.
Yes,
In one night. Listen, I mean, you got to be an absolute, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's quite obvious that we live in a society where we get things done overnight. We live in a society where we can basically, take over countries, take over regimes. We can take over an entire country from ruthless dictators. But we cannot do anything about what's happening with people of color by the police. The reason why is because Joe Biden doesn't believe it's a crisis. Our elected officials do not believe it's a crisis.
That's right.
And many of the individuals who are, who have bought into this whole idea are sadly misled, right? You're going just listen to this. Just think about the pain of what's happening, with the family of Dante Wright. Think about Oscar Grant. Think about Philando Castile. Think about Sandra Bland. Think about Rashard Brooks. Think about Tamir Rice. Think about Trayvon Martin. Think about Mike Brown. Think about Stephon Clark. Think about Botham Jean. Think about Ahmaud Arbery. Think about Christian Cooper. Think about Breonna Taylor. Think about all of this stuff that is happening, right? This is a war. This is not a situation where we're having, some sort of minor problem. These people have declared war on people of color, and they're using people who are police officers to carry out the war to try to get rid of our folks. Yeah. Right?
Correct.
This is a war.
Correct.
You're killing people innocently. Look what that police. Come on, man. I mean, you're gonna tell me that you don't know the difference between a firearm and a taser gun? And then the response was, this is the response. The response was, well, maybe we need to redesign the taser, right? Listen, are you serious, man? Are you telling me that you're really trying to figure out some way? Maybe we should do this. No, listen, the problem is the reason why she reacted that way is because she reacted subconsciously. Right? She acted subconsciously. She, no matter what, this boy who was stopped for having an air freshener on his rearview mirror ended up losing his life because of this officer and a system that has yet to address the issue of the war that law enforcement has raised against people of color, right? And nobody does anything about it because, like I said, I mean, even in these courtrooms when we talk about these prosecutors, right? I'm not talking about every prosecutor, but I don't believe I need to qualify myself, nor I need to give a disclaimer. If you feel offended by it, then I'm talking about you too. You can get some too. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these these prosecutors who do not question any action of police officers. Right? Listen, everybody in the judicial system, everybody in the justice system, their blood is on your hands because every day these individuals are taken into these courtrooms, and many of these law enforcement officers who get up on the stand and lie about what happened, many of these officers who are arresting individuals and telling individuals that these people are resisting. The fact that basically, how many times Philando Castile had been stopped by the police? 52 times before they took his life. How in the world can somebody and never got arrested? How can you stop somebody 52 times? And not arrest them? In the state of California, you're 3 times more likely to get stopped by the police if you're black. Around the country, you're 3 to 4 times in almost any jurisdiction to be stopped because you're black. But the prosecutor's office is more likely to pick up your case because you're black. And a jury is more likely to convict you because you're black. That's not racism. That's sickness. You're sick. You're psychotic and you're diabolical, and that's devilish stuff. We're not talking. How can you reason with the devil? How can you reason with the devil? You can't reason with the devil. And those of you who happen to be not of color, why are you sitting around and letting these people do that? Why are you letting people do that to your fellow citizens? Why aren't you doing more? How are you going to allow that to happen? Why aren't you mad? And if you are mad, then I don't have a problem with you. I don't have a problem with people who are good-minded people who believe in humanity. I have no problem with you. And you should be out there just like everybody else. You should be upset. If you're working in a prosecutor's office and you know this is going down, then do something.
Correct.
If you're sitting on a bench, do something.
Correct.
If you're on the streets, why aren't we seeing massive police officers of color and white who are protesting? They're in your department. Why aren't you protesting? Why are you being silent? You know this is going on. You know what's happening. You know that they have this war against people of color, and you're sitting around and you're allowing it to happen. And you know what? I hope God has mercy on your soul. I hope God has mercy on your soul.
Let me say something, Brother Ali, and you're spot on. Look, the police officers and the whole mindset has done so much damage. They don't have to shoot another individual. Let me qualify that. Where is it that a young black man, a young black woman, a young brown man, or a young brown woman feels safe in society today? Where in the community? They can't feel safe by the people that are supposed to protect them. And then the trauma is so built up to where...
Radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host Attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com. Nubian Pictures presents a CCM Films production documentary entitled Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. This emotional and strong documentary tells the story of African-American lawyer Zulu Ali seeking justice and his purpose as a lawyer while crossing paths with Araceli, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who is seeking her freedom. Together, they help discover their purpose and freedom in each other. Watch this incredible film today from iTunes Movies, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime, and Google Play Movies. Learn about the cast and crew, links to purchase, and more at purposeandfreedommovie.com. Purpose and Freedom. Keep your hand on the plow. Available now. Rated G.
I did not feel safe. That's why I decided to come to California, because I didn't feel safe in Mexico.
It's kind of like the system, and if you go outside the system, then it becomes a struggle.
Are you an immigrant seeking defense representation and are looking to protect your rights? Or maybe someone who is experiencing an injustice or discrimination and need a lawyer you can trust? Well, that's exactly why you need the help of award-winning trial lawyer Zulu Ali. The law offices of Zulu Ali provides immigration defense representation for those seeking justice and looking to protect their rights. If you or a loved one needs professional legal advice and representation, then contact Zulu Ali. Zulu Ali's firm focuses on criminal law, family law, civil and personal injury, and international law. Zulu Ali is a former police officer and U.S. Marine, so you know you're in good hands, serving all of California and immigration cases nationwide, representing victims and suspects at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Call Zulu Ali today at 888-682-3049 or visit ZuluAliLaw.com.
Welcome back to Justice Watch with Attorney Zulu Ali and the Justice Watch crew, where we're continuing with our discussion on the issue of police brutality. I'm going to let you guys chime in just real quick on this last few minutes, man. But one of the things I did want to make sure that I also want to mention the issue regarding the Virginia police officer Joe Gutierrez that was had stopped. I think his name was Lieutenant Naziaro, second lieutenant in the Army, that was pepper sprayed and handcuffed. And then we also saw the issue with the NCO at Fort Jackson, who basically had the confrontation with the young kid. You know, they always want to mess with somebody that can't defend themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, that's kind of what. Yeah. That's where we go back into the issue where we talk about the psychosis. Okay, so we need to stop using the word racist. You need to stop using that word. Start telling them what it like it is. They're psychotic. They're sick. They're not okay people. I mean, we gotta. It is what it is. These people are not okay. Stop giving them credit where credit's due.
Truth.
I mean, they did. They've done the research. These are just sick, diabolical mind people. That's who they are. You can't reason with those people, but we're just hoping that basically the right-minded people will, begin to start acting right. But at any rate.
We actually have a comment from Thomas Langston. He says, so Mr. Ali, you're saying that the police are literally at war with Black people. So in roll call, police officers are instructed to kill Black people and people of color. So when you were in briefing, Mr. Ali, your sergeant told you to go out and kill Black people.
I'm not even going to answer that question. I'm not even going to answer that question. I don't even want to talk about it. He's sick and diabolical too. Go to somebody else's show.
Look,
I'm not even going to answer that stupid question.
Look, the point I was trying to make is this. We're in a constant state of trauma. We're traumatized on an ongoing basis. If there's nowhere in our community that we can feel safe because of that trauma, what happens over a time period, that trauma starts building up. And this is what I meant by they don't have to even point a gun at us anymore. Why do you think so many people of color die so early in this country? It's because of that built-up trauma, because of the systematic system of racism and everything else that implores, and then being enforced by officers that are supposed to keep us safe. So what happens over a period of time, we self-destruct. We don't have the capacity to vent. We can't go anywhere. We don't have any safe zones. We're afraid to walk down the street. We're afraid to go to the store. And then when you relate all these other people who have the same mindset, who are not police officers, it adds to that trauma. I'm surprised any of us are living past 25. So yes, we have got to deal with that mindset. And back to the societal or the municipal structure, you know we are under this type of trauma in these marginalized communities. So if you truly care about your people, if you care about your constituents, you would put some type of capacity for us to recover from this trauma so we can be well. We are not well people, and well people end up doing damage to themselves and others. And pretty soon we are going to vent because we want to feel some relief of pain, and we're going to go against those that are causing the pain. That's what revolts are.
That's why I was saying earlier that basically that's why police officers should be just as mad as anybody else. They
Agreed.
should be protesting too.
Agreed.
They should be out there. They should be just as upset. If you're not upset, then you're part of the problem. If you're not upset, you're the problem with this country. This, like the brother that was a second lieutenant. So he had went out and served his country, and then basically they take mace and just mace him in his face, and they're not mad about that, but they're mad at Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee.
Where's Blue Lives Matter?
You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I think from reading all of the comments, we're not saying that all cops are bad. Obviously,
By no
we're
means.
not.
Well, I don't think.
No
this is the thing. I don't think we need to use that disclaimer because that's ignorance. That's just absolutely ignorant. I don't even think that even needs to be addressed. I mean, you're not even listening.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to entertain that. This is, if you don't like that, then there's a lot of other shows. You're on my show.
Teach.
You know what I'm saying?
Teach.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're gonna get some.
Yeah.
And you just got it.
Yeah.
You just got your answer. I just gave it to you. And you know what I'm saying? You got it. I'm giving it to you. I just gave it to you.
Teach. Unapologetically.
You heard me.
Unapologetically.
I don't stutter. You heard exactly what I said. And I meant every bit of it. I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to go back? No. Do you want me to say it again? You want me to say it again?
I do.
Huh? You want me to say it again?
I do.
You're diabolical. You're a devil.
Yeah.
You're a devil.
Put that same energy.
That's what you are. You're a devil.
Put that same
You're a
energy
Satan.
into
I don't
changing
care
your
whether you
mindset.
wearing a uniform. I don't care whether you buck naked. If you ain't got a problem with it, you're the problem. You're a devil. You're evil. You're diabolical. I'm not going to reason with the devil. Why? I'm not going to talk to the devil.
Yep.
That's devilish stuff. That's what's happening. That's the devil. You know what I mean? And then people feel like they should have to qualify themselves. We don't need to qualify devils. We don't need to qualify people who are diabolical. What we need to do is leave these people alone. They're evil. They're psychotic. They're nobody. Right? What we need to do is if you're with it, then we need to leave those people alone.
Yeah.
Collectively deal with it. And you know what's funny? It's coming.
Let's get us some answers.
It's coming. And you know what? Like my little children, my kids used to say when they were little, Daddy, they gonna get it, and when they get it, they gonna get it good. That's what's gonna happen. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say about it. You gonna get it. Sleep tight.
Yeah.
Don't let the bed bugs bite. You gonna get it. All this stuff you're seeing, all this killing, all this stuff you're doing to people, God's gonna do that. God's gonna take care of his people. God's gonna take care of his people.
Correct.
You're gonna get it.
Correct.
I ain't worried about it because God's gonna take care of you. God's gonna take care of you. I'm just calling it out.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a warning. I'm letting you know. God got you. God's going to get you. He's going to let you have it. He's going to take care of his people. Right?
That's true.
And all you're doing is devilish stuff. That's devil worshiping. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say about it. It don't make no difference who you are, what you are. All of a sudden we got 306 people. But anyway. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm just, we just had, it's just at a point right now where people just have to just stop biting their tongue and realize these diabolical, psychotic, sick people. I'm not I think that these people, they need psychological help. I mean, look at, just think about if you saw someone hanging from a tree in Afghanistan decapitated, what would you think about that? We would say they're murderers. They're bad people. They do these terrible things. We did that.
Hanging from the bridge.
Yeah, and the look on their face, Chauvin reminded us about the look on the face, right? I'm sorry to my crew, I didn't let y'all talk enough today, but I'm hot.
That's all right.
I'm hot. You know what I'm saying? I'm hot.
Bring it, brother.
You got me hot.
Bodies dropping the way they're dropping on a daily.
Nationally syndicated radio program that's sweeping the nation, and you don't want to miss it. Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali, the voice of justice for the people. The focus of Justice Watch is to provide an honest analysis and viable solutions to the criminal and social justice crisis in America and the world from a Black, brown, working class, and socially disadvantaged perspective, and to motivate listeners to be informed and part of the solution. Zulu Ali is joined by the Justice Crew, consisting of Rosa Nunez, Michael Clark, Dr. Akil Bashir, and Charito Ali to tackle the most pressing issues. Host attorney Zulu Ali is a former police officer, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and an award-winning trial lawyer who focuses on representing persons accused of crimes, immigrants, victims of discrimination, and persons seeking civil justice. Find out how to listen to Justice Watch with attorney Zulu Ali at justicewatchradio.com.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Carraggio.